Hello, everybody. Hello, Mario. Yeah, I gotta tighten this manually every time. Oh, hello, little stylus. Hello, Mario. Hello, Gregornuts. Just getting ready, everybody. Let's see here. Always with the getting blurry, always. So this one is pretty quick, right? I mean, we just did a live stream a couple days ago on Monday for Leave It in My Dreams. And now we're already doing it again. That's pretty fast, right? Testing 1, 2. Can you guys hear all that? Yes, you can. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. And what about can you hear me? Yeah. And what about me? Yeah. Cool. All right, everything seems good. What is up, everybody? We are back. We're back in the chat. I think everything seems a reasonable level, right? A reasonable volume. Nothing's too quiet, right? Cool. So, gonna give people another minute or two to kind of hop in here. But I suppose I can start talking a little bit about some stuff. Oh, I had a question. Everybody. Couple of things. So I'm doing low latency today. I noticed that was a setting that I could choose in my widget on, let's see here, on my widget here on YouTube Studio. And before I was doing normal latency, which apparently gives you like higher video quality, but it had like a latency of like 45 seconds. So it was quite a large amount. So this time I'm doing low latency, and it said that it might cause more like stuttering and it might cause lower quality video. So if you guys see any issues with that, just let me know in the chat and I'll see if I can like fix it, even though it doesn't look like I can change it in the middle of the stream. I wonder if I could like end the stream and then like do it again and then like restart it. I don't know. We're experimenting, okay? I mean, what is this kind of stuff for if not for testing and experimenting? You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Let me guys just, keep me abreast of anything that's going on your end over there. What else to say? Welcome, Gregor Knots. I'll never forget when somebody in the chat came up with that one. Yeah, who was that? We have to give credit to that guy. Was his name Scott? Or was it Davey? Who was it? Scott. It was Scott. Scott Freeland. Never forget. Scott Freeland came up with Gregor Knots. Never forget. Welcome, Gregor Knots. Sponsored by Scott Freeland. There we go. There it is. Okay, today we are doing Obstacle 1, Part 2 by Interpol, right? And we have 3 whiteboards, courtesy of new friends. I just finished the script, by the way. I just finished the script for the video that I am going to make and edit from our findings of our first live stream on this song. I mostly am talking about the riff. Because, I mean, that's like a 2.5-second riff, and I think we spent a long time discussing specifically just that riff. There's for 3 seconds or however long it is, there's a lot of really interesting stuff packed into this riff. And so that's what I wanted to focus on for the video script that I made for that. So script is done, recording it soon. Hopefully that'll be up next week. Hopefully like next Thursday, Friday, something like that. Actually, I won't even say hopefully. I'm gonna make this a promise to you guys. The video for part 1 is going up next week, Thursday or Friday. Okay, that's what it is. You know, I'm holding you guys accountable to hold me accountable. All right, that's how that goes. So we usually do a quick a quick like rerun, a refresh on what we learned last time. So we will say this time around that, or we will do that again as we normally do. The interesting thing about the riff, that's what we'll do a quick refresh on. We kind of think that it's gonna be, you know, F major. Spoiler alert, the whole thing, when you start to look at it, ends up becoming this like really interesting like polytonal soup where like F major, but yeah, it kind of ends up being like F Lydian / C major / A minor Aeolian polytonal soup, wherein the bass makes you feel like you're in A sometimes, in A minor, and then sometimes it makes you feel like you're in the F, but then sometimes it makes you feel like you're in the C, especially because, yeah, I mean, to me, it reads as a jam. Just they spent a long time refining the jam that they were working on to come up with this. I don't know if they did any of that stuff on purpose, but that's definitely what it reads to me. Man, why does my camera just keep getting blurry today? So as a refresh again, did it just happen again? Is it something that I'm doing? Am I like waving at the camera and causing it to like unfocus on me? Maybe I need a new webcam. Who knows? Interesting. Does not seem to be able to focus very well. So you have only 3 notes in this entire riff, right? You have F, A, and C, and then a low A on the bottom line, right? And this really gets you two lines, a top line and a bottom line. That's really what you're seeing with this riff. Top and bottom. Bomb, yes. And this one kind of gets you F, yeah. Oh, sorry, the top line is C. It kind of gets you this C, 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 C. A. Kind of that kind of line on the top, and on the bottom you get the F. It gets you like that. F, 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 A, before going back up, right? And that gets you this nice little kind of counter melody line that ends up being way more interesting. You might think, oh, it's just do, mi, so, mi, do. It's just F-A-C. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Mi, do, mi, do. You might think, is it just a one chord the whole way? But no, there's something more interesting about it, especially in regards to the rhythm and the way that it's all played, that it ends up feeling more like a one chord to a three chord, kind of situation. It's 1 to 3, mostly. And you can really feel that when you play, right? If I just play the F major and I just change the inversion, that doesn't feel right, does it? Doesn't quite feel right. It definitely, to me, reads as a 1 to a 3. That feels much more like the song, doesn't it? Played it wrong. That feels more like the song, right? All of that implied in some interesting ways just because of the way that this is done. That's, really the crux of this riff. And if you want to know in more detail about the riff, you can either go watch that live stream that we did a couple weeks ago, because we went into detail on it there, or you could just wait for the video next week. Like I said, the long form video will be coming out next week. So I see we got some more people joining. We are doing a refresh of the findings from last week. So we talked about the riff a little bit and how the riff was really, really interesting. Welcome, Gregor Knotts. What's going on? Does the bass that comes in over the opening riff change what chord is overall being played in the song? Colin, yes, it absolutely does. And in fact, that is the overall finding of our first live stream on this song, right? So that's what we spent a large amount of the time talking about, is how all of the different elements, the two guitars, the bass, and the voice kind of all play together to change kind of the overall harmony. And, the long or the short answer that we found out is that it really ends up kind of being a polytonal soup kind of situation, where it's like the guitars make it feel like you're an F, right? When you're playing this, makes it feel like you're playing this F major thing. That feels solidly there. And then the other guitar comes in, and it just kind of confirms, that other guitar is definitely helping and just confirming, definitely F, right? But then when the bass starts to come in, I believe the bass comes in playing kind of starts there in the C, and then the voice comes in. And what is the I don't remember exactly what it is, but let's see here. It almost seems like the guitars make a nice bed of notes to allow the bass to really shape what the mood of the song is. Yes, Colin, that is exactly right. That is what we found out, is that it feels like, I keep using the word soup because that's what it is. It feels like a polytonal soup, wherein when the bass is hitting an A, the bass hits an A really, really heavy, right? Something like that. When the bass hits that A, it is such a heavy hit with such emphasis that it makes it kind of feel like, whoa, now we're pointing to A as the tonal center. So is this actually an A minor situation and not an F major situation? And then the voice comes in, really giving us the half notes, right? That's the thing. So Colin, you're asking all the right questions and all the right things, and you're right in your analysis that it seems like the guitars make a bed for everything else to play with. The truth is, everything's a bed, right? You have all these interesting textures and rhythms going against each other that makes the whole thing feel very tonally ambiguous. You can't really find a tonal center, and every time you think you found one, something else comes in and makes you feel like that's the tonal center. And so this song is very modal, at least in the verses, right? Today, we're going to be analyzing the chorus and the bridge, which I believe, at least my assumption based off of listening to the song and knowing the song already, that the chorus and bridge are going to end up being probably more tonal, but the verse the verse is absolutely modal. And what that really means in this case, in this context, or well, in general, like modal music as an approach to writing music means it's not really about a harmonic progression. It's not about moving, you know, through tension and release through a harmonic progression, going away from home and back to home kind of situation. That would be tonal music. In this case, this song is modal, just straight up modal, which means you're exploring a flavor, exploring an identity, exploring a collection of notes. And that's what this song does, is it kind of just has, in general, C major and F, C major, F Lydian, A Aeolian kind of situation, just playing around that. There's really no discernible chord progression, despite the fact that, yes, the riff and the second guitar do play that 1 to 3 chord progression. The rest of the thing does not really lend itself to that chord progression. It just feels like a modal soup. It just feels like, I was doing this last time, if it's this kind of approach to writing is utilized heavily in score writing. So it's like, you know, imagine I'm kind of doing this, right? That kind of thing, right? And notice how, if I am kind of just like playing on these flavors here, that if I add this really heavy, now it feels very, very minor, right? But if I'm playing that A in the bottom, which makes it feel very minor. But then when I change it to kind of be on the F in the bottom, now it just feels very major. But then if I play now a C in the bottom situation, it feels major now in a different way. And that's really the kind of thing that's being explored here. The modality of the verse to the more grounded tonal chorus is also probably what makes the chorus so much more satisfying. You can much more comfortably find home base. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. So that being said, thank you, Colin, for assisting me with the refresh. I don't know. I can't think of the word. Just the quick refresh of what we did in the last live stream, going over the verse, and that's pretty much what's happening. The other big thing that really helps that is, or that really makes that so securely modal and ambiguous in regards to its tonal center, is the vocals, right? The vocals kind of start with this, man, why can I not, I can't remember the way that it starts. Let me just pull it up. Something like that, right? Let's double check that. Your lost faded lips. When that happens, we get this E natural very strongly, which really makes it feel like F major is our tonal center, right? Feels like F. But then when we get to making logical harm, hey, look at that. Now we had this half step C, B natural C, which makes it now feel like C is our tonal center, right? So, but then again, when the bass comes in on that really heavy low A, it makes it feel like A is the tonal center, right? With yeah, that part right there, that part, you know. Now that feels like you're an A. It's very, very interesting, right? Ba-da-da-da. There you go. Yeah, it's really, really, really interesting stuff. Cool. So now that that is over, why don't we move forward? Let's move forward into the chorus of this, right? Yeah, let's move forward to the chorus of this. I know we probably still have some people coming in, so I will just put this back in here because I wrote this out and I think it's fun. Thank you, Scott, for giving us Gregornauts as a term. So yeah, let's hop in there. And the first thing we're going to do, like usual, one of the best ways to do this is to kind of start to figure out what's going on with the bass. So let's move forward to the chorus and figure out what's going on with the bass, right? Right, so that's some stuff that's changing here, right? It's kind of a pre-chorus, right? Man, that, I will say, let's say this, the little bass slide up that happens there. He kind of does something like that on the bass, Carlos does, you know what I mean? He kind of slides up in this really slow way that kind of just hits all the notes. And it really just kind of throws your ear harp off. It throws your calibration off because you're just hitting all those notes in there. It's kind of interesting. So this is kind of an interesting pre-chorus situation. So what's happening in this pre-chorus situation is you do again just have that one guitar repeating this A and C. Let me turn on this so I can get a more accurate sound, right? Yeah. And then the other guitar joins. He's just playing the A there still. Right. So the pre-chorus. Let's say that it's the pre-chorus, right? Let's say this. Let's just go through the whole thing like this, right? So, intro, ambiguous riff, 1, 3, right? And then we hit the verse, which ends up being this modal, like multipolar soup. Multipolar soup. Kind of feels like, you know, we'll say the tonal center we'll say F, C, A, question mark. It depends. That's the interesting thing about the verse, right? That's the interesting thing about it. So then, now moving to this, like, pre-chorus. Are we even going to call it pre-chorus? I'm going to call it a turnaround. The turnaround, you know, just for visual clarity for people joining us, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say implied 1 to 3 in the intro. So the turnaround, you do have one guitar playing. You have one guitar playing A. Call it left. The left guitar is just playing C and A, and then the guitar on the right is just playing A, right? And what's interesting about that turnaround is that it is expanding on, it's taking another angle at the concept in the song that is the rhythms, right? The rhythms are the really interesting part, right? We talked about this a little bit on the first live stream as well, that you have the rhythms of the one lead guitar, which are very consistent and like snaky and smooth, right? Huh? And this is immediately juxtaposed by the texture of this. It's the opposite. It's very dynamic. It's very stabby. It's very urgent, right? And then you have another texture being added too when suddenly like the drums and the bass come in, and they're all very, very different from each other again. Something like that, right? That is interesting, and that's a combination. It's got like some melodic elements from this riff, and it's got the stabby elements of this guitar, right? So the textures rhythmically going around there are really kind of a center focus, and it's really interesting that, again, when I was playing it as a pad on the strings there, you're like, yeah, that kind of sounds like a movie score, right? And you kind of take this idea of modally composing almost like a score, playing around these flavors, but you just put them on, you apply to that concept rock band instrumentation and rock band rhythms, and you come up with this fascinating new thing, which seems totally unrecognizable as this like modal score-esque thing, right? That at a momentary notice changes vibes depending on what the bass is doing, what the vocals are doing, all this kind of stuff. It's really interesting. So the rhythms play a really important part in that concept. And now this turnaround is once again, you know, playing with rhythmic textures, right? Once again. Because you have the left and the right against each other, and it's allowing that other guitar, the guitar on the right, which was the guitar that previously was playing the riff, that now that guitar gets to play something different. Doo-doo. You know, kind of sets that up there. So that's really just what's happening there. Is it's just kind of is it just feel like it's playing the 3 chord there, or does it feel like it's still kind of implying that F major? I don't know. Let's take a listen to it again. So at this point, it's still because she's bad, because this line was held out from Paul on the vocals before. It's still feeling that the reverberations of that are carrying across, and we're probably still hearing C as the tonal center. It's really interesting, right? Because when you had just the riff, and then you play this part, it feels like F is the tonal center, right? Even playing this part feels like the root of that is missing. You know, you're playing 5, 3, 1 of that tonal center. But now heading into this turnaround section, now it's recontextualized so that the exact same parts, you know, we can cast in the past, logical harm. Now she's bad. Now we have a new implied tonal center, and now we go this. Now it feels like that. Bad. Now it kind of feels like that's the tonal center, right? Very, very, very interesting that now we have the exact same part played from the intro. Felt like F. Now going into this turnaround, it still feeling a little bit ambiguous, but it feels like C, right? The same part played in a new context. is exciting and fun again, right? Even for this quick little turnaround. And that's just the notes. Again, you add in this textural aspect to it, again, of the or the sorry, back and forth kind of thing. That once again, same part, new context with the parts around it, feels new and interesting again, but also keeps your ears because you are familiar with it. You're like, oh, I have something to hold on to and remember. So you kind of keeps your attention. Well, you have something new as well, right? That's a lot of what this kind of songwriting arranging thing is balancing novelty and familiarity, right? And that's something that this song is actually doing in a really, really cool and interesting way. Right, and now we're solidly in the chorus again. Turn around, playing with rhythmic textures. Familiar parts, new context. That is good stuff in my book. Familiar parts, new context. Good stuff. You can read all this, right, guys? My handwriting's not that bad that you can't even read it, right? There you go. Let's move on to the chorus then, right? And again, hey, thanks to courtesy of our new friends who gave me a little tip last time, I was able to buy a third whiteboard. So now I don't have to erase this. I could keep this for reference later on in the song because I got 2 other ones here. Which reminds me, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. If you like what I do, I mean, I'd love to do this more. I will keep doing it more. If you like what I do, the best way you can support it is like, share, subscribe, that kind of stuff. Tell your friends. Word of mouth still goes a long way, you know, sharing with a friend individually, saying like, hey, I think I'd really like this guy, or like, hey, friends who also like Interpol or The Strokes or anything, check out this video. That's way better than just sharing it on social media out into whatever, you know what I mean? Like, really share it, you know what I mean? Share with your friends for real. That's a great, really great way to support people you want to support. Share for real. The other thing you can do is I do offer private lessons. I have original music out you can go listen to, and if you want, you can leave me a tip on the live stream with a super thanks. Very, very, very appreciative as always. Don't feel obliged, it's not necessary, but, you know, I appreciate you guys' support, and I also just appreciate you guys showing up and hanging out in the chat. It's always a great time. I'm honestly always have a lot of fun on these with you guys, and that's one of the most rewarding parts, I think. The amount of community that we have seen in the chat here just over these first couple of weeks, first couple of trial runs at these live streams has been awesome. So taking a look at the chorus, right? Let's listen to that bass again, as always, right? Oh, I just realized there's bass in there's bass in that turnaround. Let's see here. All right, what's the bass in that turnaround doing? I knew it. He's playing an A there. He's definitely, I think he's playing A, F there. Let me try to sing that again. He's kind of moving around. If that's low, he's playing way low down there. It's kind of hard to hear sometimes. Is that what he's doing? Something like that. He's just playing in octaves, right? He's kind of doing. I think that's what's going on in the bass there. I think he's playing F, C, F. Man, again, this really more just adding to that tonal ambiguity with that modal suit, because it's like you got these notes happening, making it feel like, I mean, that's between the F and the C, which does make it feel like F is our tonal center. But then he plays the A's there, which now is leading again to one of those other places that we were thinking the tonal center might be, is on that A. So that's really interesting. And again, I love the choice of like that bespokeness of, you know, you think, oh, I'm playing a fifth here, so should I play a fifth when I go to this next position? He says, no, I don't want to play a fifth there. I want to play an octave, right? Fifth and then octave. Why not? I do what I want, right? Very, you know, bespoke is the word I used before. It's a good one. So once again, it's just adding to that same idea in that turnaround of playing with familiar ideas in new ways and in new contexts. And that is the same thing that's happening with the bass riff as well, right? It's that same thing, playing around with that F, C, A, F, but now adding the high A octave there. Yep, familiar ideas and new contexts. Very, very cool, very, very interesting. How long is this latency, by the way? I'm curious now. Interesting. Wow, it's good. Yeah, so I'm doing low latency this time. And it's before, like, my latency was like 45 seconds, but it seems now that it's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like 9 seconds, which is like significantly better. You know, cool. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Oops, sorry, well, I'm missing something here. Boom, boom. Cool. We're back, everybody. Let's move on to the chorus for real now. Yep, feeling like the F there. Yeah. But he kind of does this sliding thing here. He's doing this like half step thing there. But and then he goes down, right? Yeah. He goes up an octave there, or yeah, it goes up an octave there. Yeah. Okay, so right. Yeah. All right. Cool. Got it. So let's take a look. See here. So we do have here the bass part here. Just something like this. Just that same thing. The only thing it's adding now, it's still playing around only with F, C, and A, which is all the same exact stuff it was playing around with before. But now it adds Very cool. Yep. The only thing it adds now is, so after playing that F, it then comes down to this E, and then check it out, more of that polytonal, more of that multipolar polytonal stuff. That really feels like a flat 6, 5, drop down to 1 situation there, right? Maybe more like a... Now this is really feeling like A minor here, right? Yeah, let's see. Let's let's just start putting stuff down. What we really are seeing here is I mean, there's no point in putting down the scale degrees because, again, it's this multipolar thing, right? So I guess we're just putting down the notes, right? So we have F. We'll hold that for a bit. Then we briefly hit E before going down to A. Hold that about for a bit, and then we go to C, right? That's really what we're seeing here. And then we just kind of repeat it, right? You guys can't even see that, can you? Ah. I like the syncopation here too. Let's note that, how we get the F for 1.5 measures, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and well, really more than 1.5 measures. We get it for 1 3/4 measures. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we get the A and the C a symmetrical amount of time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and, right? So it's really interesting that we just barely sneak that E in there. And the other interesting thing about that is that if there is any type of a chord progression here, which there might be, we don't know if we're just more still in riff territory or in kind of chord progression territory. It's asymmetrical, right? Because it's not like we get that would be more boring already. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 it's already more interesting to get that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I mean, it's already just like, even just singing it like that is way more interesting, right? Don't you guys agree? Let's see if we're gonna hear a little bit of what's going on with these guitars now, right? We're holding that E out there a lot, right? See what we can hear. Interesting. Are we playing that? Huh. Is that B natural in there? Is that true? Did I say B natural? I meant E natural. Sorry. Yeah, I do not know exactly what guitars are doing it where, but there 100% is just a very sustained E in there somewhere. So like, are we playing just like because we do just have that E natural sustained over there the whole time, which is really, really interesting. It does kind of make it feel like you do have we probably have an F major 7 situation there. Yeah, Which would make, well, the E would be in, it would be the 5th of the E A, and then, ooh, that's a really interesting voicing of a first inversion minor chord, right? I do not think we're going to a, I do not think we're going to a C major there. Really doesn't feel like that. So that's interesting. There's definitely a sustained E there. That's cool. That's neato for sure. Let's go take another listen. See what else we can find out here. Something like that? That's kind of... I think, is he just really just hammering on that? Because, yeah, is he just going, oh, there's different now that I'm boring because he could just sustain all of that. Hypothetically, is that what he's doing? He's really just sustaining that stuff. Is that what he's doing there? Someone's definitely doing something like that. I mean, he could be doing something interesting like that if he wants to hold those out, right? He could be going on the A string open 10-9. And then hold that in, then bring that up to the 8th fret, the C on the low E there. Could be something like that, right? Because I'm... Is that what he's doing there? And the other guitar is holding out this B? I mean, I think that's most of the material that is there. Even if I don't have the exact guitar lines worked out, I think that's the notes. I mean, that's in there too. That's in there too. I mean, yeah, that's kind of... I think that's really it there. Again, I may not have the exact things worked out. There may be more like power chording situation. And then, because the bass is just playing it. I mean, that sounds pretty tight, doesn't it? Especially if you get this one. Why do I feel like this should be like a new Midwest emo chord? You know how those like Midwest emo voicings are always so popular? Like this like add two thing is really popular. Why do I feel like that could be a really nice voicing of a major, a first inversion minor chord? This kind of shape. Someone, don't be surprised if I start using that, guys. This shape for a guitar voicing. This would give you, if this is your low E and this is your A and that's your D and that's your G, this would give you a first inversion minor. Minor chord, first inversion. It's a really nice voicing there, because you would get flat 3 1. Oh, sorry. You get flat 3 5 1 and the repetition of flat 3. I've never seen anybody use that voicing in a song that I've seen, which is weird because that seems pretty easy. It sounds nice, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. There you go. I'm writing that song for you guys. Alright, enough of that. I'm having too much fun. Sorry, everybody. Someone use that. And if you do, send it to me so I can shout it out and take a look and be like, hell yeah. So guitars, again, even if I don't have the exact things worked out in terms of what guitar is playing what, I'll tell you what I definitely have up top is I definitely have an E natural and a C sustaining kind of as these like pedal tones. And then underneath it, you have the F. You have the F for a while, and then you get the E descending down to the A, and then the C, right? And that really gives you the whole chorus. You know what I mean? What if we can reach it like that? Ooh. Kind of losing my intonation there. It's better like this. But again, you don't have to have the power chord situation to it. You could reach out there too. if you didn't want to risk hitting that open E when you're, you could go down there. So what does this give you overall? Well, to me, it feels like we're really just having would be an F major 7 to an A minor, and then you invert it to have an A minor over C. I guess you could call it a C6, but it feels like we're still really on the A minor there. It just feels like we're inverting. How do I say that? So we have here, we have an F major 7 going to an A minor, and then an A minor over C. And that E, I'm really just going to take that as a passing tone for like the riff, for like the instrumental melody that we're hearing in the guitars and the bass. And it is also quite certain that in this section of the song, it definitely feels like A minor is the focus. Let's see about the vocals. Shivering down in a pouring agent, never see this face again, stabbing yourself the neck. Yeah, the chorus feels very solidly in A minor, which would make this, what an interesting riff. What an interesting chord progression for a chorus. That would make this a flat 6 major 7 to a 1 chord, and then a 1 chord in first inversion. Very interesting, especially considering, again, that the verse is this kind of multipolar modal soup situation that really, to me, focuses on F and C as the tonal centers, with like a little hint of the A minor there. When the bass line does that, you know, when it does that, it kind of, the bass kind of makes it feel like it's that little hint of A minor as the tonal center. And so then in the chorus, now it's like A minor all the way, baby. So that's really interesting that it's kind of foreshadowing in a way. It's foreshadowing that bass, that A in the chorus, in the verse, is kind of foreshadowing A minor as the bass here. A minor as the tonal center here in the chorus. And it's also an interesting contrast that in the verse, it's mostly feeling major, and now in the chorus, we're definitely feeling minor. That's very, very nice. I think I understand how Julian writes most of his songs. Listen to Interpol trying to deconstruct the sounds. It's interesting. Seems like the same. Seems, but the resulting sounds are so different. Colin, that's an interesting statement. I can agree that, like, I can understand, you know, how Julian writes. Julian definitely feels more methodical in his writing, I think. I know. Whereas a conclusion I came to in part 1 of the Obstacle 1 live stream is that I don't think they're writing with the intentionality that Julian Casablancas and many others write with. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, there is always this discussion in the music space of like theory and method, or just random creativity and jamming and feeling. And these things are not diametrically opposed at all. You absolutely can have both of them in the same band. You can have both of them in the same writer, in one songwriter. You can also have them in the same song, right? That's just part of the thing, you know. I mean, creativity and jamming and feeling can go hand in hand with the theory and methodology and everything. It's just, you know, they're just tools, right? The theory and the methods and everything, and being able to look at and define things and look at concepts, it's just tools, you know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly, Colin. I think you're right. They're definitely playing in the same style, but right, exactly. So the they're both kind of this like 21st century alternative garage rock sound, and a lot of it comes from the production and the instruments and the amps and the mixing and the mastering that's used that makes them feel like they're in the same genre. But there definitely is a that you can put them next to each other and see similarity, but when you try to break down or speculate the approach to writing that these different bands have, it becomes quite clear that they were just writing very differently. You know, we know that Julian wrote on his own and just told everyone what to do, whereas I get the sense, looking at the way that all of these parts play around with each other and how, you know, the way the bass changes on a momentary basis, and then the guitars are changing, all this thing, that with Interpol, you definitely get the sense that they were in a room together just jamming for hours. That's how they were writing their songs, is just jamming with each other, bouncing ideas back and forth, and they kind of worked their way into this thing that I don't even think they knew what they were doing, like, from a theory perspective. I do not think they set out to make this, like, an tonally ambiguous piece that kind of goes back and forth from modal to tonal. I don't think they had any intentionality of doing that. I just think that they were a bunch of friends who loved playing together, or at least they were maybe not even friends who loved playing together as much as maybe they were just serious about their craft and wanting to have a band and have the band be like this. That it's kind of like a structured jam band kind of thing, right? You know that they didn't know what they were doing, but they were putting their fingers on their instruments and just letting their ears guide them. And, you know, Carlos, while we're looping our guitar parts for hours, you just sit there over there like jamming and figuring out and refining your part live in the room with us until you end up with this thing. They're like, whoa, how did you come up with that? There's no answer other than I just was playing it over and over, off of feeling and some immediate feedback from the players around me and from myself, until it took the form that it eventually took the form that ended up on the record, right? And so that's why it's interesting that Interpol has this feeling that they're very angular in the way they play their guitars, but they're very more loose in the moment-to-moment basis of, like, it's not really these like tight loops, right? That the Strokes are. The Strokes kind of have these tight loops where in those loops you're playing these exact things and you don't change what they're doing. They're perfect loops. I mean, they're like masterfully done loops, but they are these kind of loops that are repeating until they get to the next section and then you change. Whereas in Interpol, it definitely seems like you're jamming and changing throughout, and, you know, at one part in the verse. In verse 2, where in verse 1 you played this thing, you'll play a different thing in verse 2 because it's just like bouncing off of what the singer is doing at that moment or what the drummer is doing at that moment. So it just feels very, very, very different. And to me, these songs sound like a bunch of people getting together, jam, and refining those jams into some songs. And you end up with some really interesting stuff here, right? I mean, I think it's great. Let's play this, right? So we're kind of feeling in A minor solidly at this point. So they're playing this this like F major 7 situation here, right? We're just kind of retaining those. I mean, it's interesting how you can just hold that there, right? Yeah. That's so interesting, right? How your piano is clipping pretty bad. Okay, thank you, my friend. Beep, beep, beep. Yep. Is that better, everybody? Is that a better balanced volume for you guys? Let me know. yourself in the net. Yeah, and then you hit back this. Yeah, then you hit go back to that again. So it's really interesting to me in this one that it's really interesting to me that, you know, despite the fact that this chorus is clearly more tonal and has a tonal center to it, it's more tonal than the verse was, you do get this like kind of a modal padding situation, because you absolutely can, given these chords, just hold out an A minor triad on top. I mean, there is a definitive chord progression here, yet we are still just basically moving a bass line around under an A minor triad, right? And I think a big part of why that works is because they added that half step with that E. Because it is that half step down to that E that gives you that really satisfying fall down of a fifth onto that A. La, la, la. That's why you get that really nice. I don't think it would have worked as well if you did the, you know, yeah, that's not as good. That's not as good, I don't think. It's not as good. You want that, right? Definitely feels like something's missing without that E natural, right? So it's just, again, it's that little thing that you can tell. I mean, well, you can tell. I would speculate that they were hanging out in the studio and they kind of were just playing around, and they were like, yeah, I want to go from here. Gotta tune that. No, it says we're in tune. Am I just playing it wrong? Does my guitar need to be intonated? It's the G. It's always the G, isn't it? Guitar players know. Guitar players know. It's always the G. They probably, I assume, when they were playing, they wanted, maybe they wanted this chord to that chord, or they wanted this guy, and then they wanted to go to the A, you know? Maybe that's what they wanted to do. And they were figuring out, you know what, we actually need to add something else in there to make it land harder, and so that's where they probably came up with the, you know, the, because, man, that does feel very nice. I'd have to assume they intuited that, to put it in there, because that is just so momentary, you know, it makes the whole thing so asymmetrical. And let's also give a shout out to that texture, right? I mean, I love that they have that texture where they start with that stab, you know, like they didn't have that. You could have go. What if they just? What if they just held that out? I don't think it would have been as good if they didn't have those stabs partway through there, right? Oh, that's different now that I'm boring aging. I'll never see this face again. You go stabbing yourself in the neck. It wouldn't have been as good. It wouldn't have been as good. You gotta have, go stabbing yourself in the neck, right? It's also it's striking me now upon singing and playing at the same time that wow, that you get that stabbing, you know, and stabbing. It really feels like stabbing, right? I think those staccato chords at the end of each phrase of the chorus is what really makes it. Yeah, agreed, Colin. I agree. It really makes it. Absolutely, man. If you didn't have those stabbings. And again, that's the kind of thing that you really only come up with when you're in a room with people jamming. That's not true. You absolutely could come up with that one person composing all by the lonesome, but it does contribute to this like more like rounder, momentary feeling that a band like that a band like Interpol has in comparison to a band like The Strokes, right? Yeah. Should do block party tunes at some point. Ryan, I would love to do block party. Block party is so good. I love block party. I'm down. I'm absolutely down to do block party, my friend. In the neck. Again, so chorus. It's really just you get a flat 6 major 7 to a 1 and then a 1 in first inversion. That's what you have. The chords Interpol use are always so unique sounding. Right, I agree, Kevin. They are unique, and I think that's because a lot of them is not informed by like knowing what they're doing. Honestly, they're just kind of like, I don't know, man. I just want to hold these things out. It has I keep saying modal, right? But it's like it's interesting that this chorus is tonal, but the holding of these two notes across there, the C and the E, is very, very indicative more of modal. So it's like even though we have a tonal section here, it becomes modal. But also, you know what else is interesting about holding those notes out as kind of this pedal point sustain over this moving bass line is those are the same notes in the part earlier. In the verse, these notes, that is the same notes. You have a C and an E. So in the verse, they're using that C and that E as a pedal tone, pedal point up there. And they say, how do we recontextualize those notes? How do we take that E and that C? We're going to bring it down an octave. You know, instead of up here, we're bringing it down an octave. And then we're just going to add this whole new bass line underneath it, you know? Yeah. And we're right back into that tonally ambiguous thing. Loving the content. Stream is legit. Thank you, Owen. Thank you for being here, man. It's only legit because of viewers like you. PBS, the more you know. So, we're going to throw this in here as well. And just say that, yeah, we're going to... The chorus, yes, is finally we get something a little more modal where we have a flat 6, major 7 to a 1 and then a 1 in first inversion. Very, very, very interesting. So again, just kind of a macro look at things so far. the tonal center of this thing being very ambiguous, right? It's like so as we go from, yeah, let's call it like intro, right? So as we go from like intro to verse to chorus, and then eventually back to the verse. Well, it's actually more back to the intro, but it's kind of the same thing, right? To the verse. You kind of get this interesting sensation where it's like, you know, tonal center. And let me grab another color. How about, what do you call that? Approach? I don't know. I'm hoping you guys know what I mean. If you don't, you can ask me a question. So the tonal center in purple, the approach in that brown color, that in the intro, we're feeling F. And then in the verse, we're very confused. We're kind of like, all right, F, C, A, what? And in the chorus, it's like, oh yeah, we are in A minor, hundo P. And then we go back to the intro and we're like, yeah, okay, we're kind of in F again. And then we go back to the verse and we're like, what is happening again? So it's really interesting to me that, you know, yeah, they are able to, this is extremely multipolar, right? It's using all the same keys, all the same notes, right? We're only using C, the scale of C major, but we're having all these different tonal centers throughout the song, even to the point where like we don't even know in certain sections. It depends on a momentary basis. But then the intro feels like the chorus is definitely tonal. The verses are definitely modal. And then the choruses, sorry, the intro, like the riffs, they're kind of ambiguous, you know what I mean? So this song is transformed and morphing quite a bit throughout each of its different sections that you really never quite know where you're at. The only time that you really know where you're at is in the chorus, and it's so short. The chorus is only a couple of seconds, right? Very, very short. So why don't we now head over to the redux, the reprise of the intro, right? Hold on. 107. All right, so 107 to... All right, so we, for a minute and 7 seconds, we really don't really know where we're at in terms of our tonal center. And then when we do finally have it established for ourselves, oh, we're definitely A minor, at least for now. At least now we can feel safe and secure for a moment. It only sticks around for 15 seconds. Less than 50. That's, no, 15 seconds, yeah. That's really, really, you know, that's really neat, honestly. So... And I really like, by the way, that when we do go to that, you know, the reprise of the intro riff, that now we do actually finally get the bass lining up with the, you get the bass lining up with that, right? Or is it harmonizing on an A minor there? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Oh, man. So, you know, it's interesting that, you know, when we go to the verse again, we have the guitar repeating this. C C C C C A A A. You would think A A A A A C C C. Oh yeah, no, sorry, that is exactly what the bass line follows up in octaves, and so that kind of becomes a center point. But just when we're bolstering that, you know, in octaves, then we have this new melody arising and emerging, right? Oh, where'd that D come from? Yeah, okay, so now in this verse, we're very, very solidly feeling F, because especially we're playing this F chord here, and we have a D to the F, which feels kind of like that pentatonic thing, you know? When you have that D going up to the F, that's a move that feels extremely major, right? Feels so major. Wait, there we go. Sorry. You know what I mean? You guys hear what I'm saying there? That's so interesting. It just goes D, F, A. So now suddenly this new melody emerges that's just going up a D minor triad. It's D, F, A, right? D, F, A, 1 flat 3 5. And, you know, it's interesting because the riff, as we've been playing before, has F, A, C, and now he's playing D, F, A. And so we have two of the same notes, but we now are adding a new note to this thing, this idea that we've heard a bunch. We haven't had a D yet during this section, right? We haven't had a D in this section yet, which is really interesting that it injects, again, modal, right? Injects that minor-ish note. Because if F major is your tonal center, then throwing in, you know, throwing in a D to that, watch what happens when I throw in a D. It's going to add like a bit of melancholy, a bit of sadness to it, right? Because if you're in F major, D is your relative minor. Right? So just if you're playing around with like the flavors from a modal perspective, throwing in that D in octaves when you're playing your F major adds a whole new layer of that modal flavor. And it's interesting, right? Because you know how we were saying that, you know, we were saying, hey, that feels like C major, and then in the chorus, all of a sudden now we're playing around with an A minor. So now that is C major, relative minor, A minor. But now in this section, we're kind of playing around with F major, relative minor, D minor. So we're just kind of playing around again with this multipolar modal idea of like major, minor, soupiness, F, F/D or C/A, you know, F major / D minor, C major / A minor. It's just neat. It's just neato. We're just throwing around these flavors in an organized way with some really interesting and compelling rhythms. Yeah. Yeah. Man, that bass line, I just cannot stop listening to that. The bass line's the best part, you know what I mean? That's so good. That bass line's so good, dude. And we talked about how it feels very metal, right? You know? Feels very metal, doesn't it? It's not a very good... Oh, wait, yeah, it is. You know. How about that? How about some chugging Interpol situation? Hee hee. Alright, enough fun. Let's keep going. Same thing. Let's appreciate the drums for a moment here. Oh, hold on, we got Carlos D, some of the best bass lines. Dude, agreed, Kevin, agreed. Can we talk about the drums? I love, like, the switch-ups. Again, this is another thing that really, you know, evidences and indicates, like, the jamming nature of Interpol as a songwriting, you know, team. I mean, we can just look up Obstacle 1 and see, like, yeah, I think it says, like, writers. All right, let's see here. Songwriters: Paul Banks, Carlos Dengler, Sam Fogarino, and Daniel Kessler. Right, exactly. So, like, the band's definitely jamming on and writing these things together. Absolutely, they are. The drums are so good. I love that it has, like, the, like, in the beginning of it, it has the hi-hat action with a, you know, before going, you know, with this heavily syncopated, like, 16th note thing, and then it goes to the ride really quick, you know, it's, you know, ding, 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 and then it goes to the toms. Like, man, those drums are so rad. Then it's so good, the drums. Yeah, I mean, rhythm section is carrying. Let's be real here. Rhythm section is carrying here. Drums and bass. Woof. So now we are into a new section. We're in the new section here. Let's talk about this is the bridge. It's in the way that she poses. It's in the way that she poses. So, I mean, that is really just a yeah, reprise of the making logic, yeah, making logical crime. It's in the way that she poses. Well, okay, it's not really reprised, but again, we are still playing with this idea of now we're looking at C major as the center and going C, you know, do, ti, do, right? So that's playing around with that, but what happens after that? It's in the thing that she puts in my head. So yeah. Hey. Send her my heart in. Right, so this section is really just kind of playing around. That's what's happening vocally, right? That's really the vox here for the I'm gonna call this the bridge and the outro. Is that what we're gonna? Because this is the bridge, and then we have an outro, right? So the bridge, the vox is definitely just tonicizing C with a, you know, a do, ti, do, re, do situation. You know, that's what he's doing. Do, ti, do, re, do. Just that's what the voice is doing there. So let's take a listen to the guitars here, right? That should be a G, right? Oh, no, that's not going to be a G. That's so me. So if we're in C, that should be an E, right? Yeah, okay, there we go. Yep. No way, really? Is that really what's happening there? Dang. Something like that, right? And then there's another guitar over here just doing the, right? Kind of barely touching that. Playing that A over there, right? Yeah, easy peasy. Is that the only thing they do? Yep. See, what's really interesting about that is it's the same notes the whole time, because in the intro and the verse we have these, right? These notes, which are C, A, C, E, right? So an A minor triad, kind of playing around. And then those are the same notes that we pedal when we go to the chorus, right? Because we have these two things, these two notes, the same exact notes, the C and the E, sustaining, pedaling on top for the chorus. And now in the bridge, we're just taking, again, these same notes, this A minor triad, A, C, E, and now instead of doing that, now we're just arpeggiating it. That's wild. That I can't believe I never realized this before. That they're just hanging on that thing the whole time, just like really padding it out. Man, that's so modal. I've been falling sporadically today. Have you gone through the drums at all? With so much consistency, chords, notes, guitar, I find the drums drive so much along with the melodic bass lines. Koso81, yes, we did talk about the drums. Really just how awesome they are. We really talked about how there is a drive and then organicness to the drums that is a really great juxtaposition to the notes and the chords. I do think it's fascinating that the notes and the chords are able to use the same notes and the same things in all these new contexts, that now even in the bridge for a now fourth time, right? Because we had like the riff situation, then the verse situation, now the chorus, and now the bridge. For now the fourth time, they're able to recontextualize the same notes in a new way. That is pretty neato. And you're right, as a juxtaposition to that consistency, the drums are so inconsistent. The way they're bombastic, you know, even in one section, you might think like, hey, in a verse, like, yeah, the verse will be on the hi-hat and the chorus will be on the ride and that kind of thing. But they're not even doing that. They're like in one section, they're like, all right, ready? Hi-hat. Now ride, you know, ting, 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 and then go to the toms, all in one section. That really, it's interesting, like, if you kind of like visually try to represent this information, what you are kind of saying is that all right, let's see here. You have these guitars and the voice to a certain extent as well, kind of giving, you kind of have the guitars and the voice to a certain extent kind of giving this kind of interesting little snaky texture going on, and they're kind of related with each other, but they're just kind of very kind of dreamy. They're kind of adding a sheen, you know what I mean, to the top of this whole thing, like a filter to it. But underneath it, you have, you know, the bass as more this like strong main character, you know what I mean? That's like kind of coming in here. I need to do something different like this. I think I should be like, see, in my head, I'm kind of visualizing it more like this kind of situation, like a nice like wormy blob situation, if that makes any sense. Yeah, that this is the kind of thing that I'm feeling from the bass here now. Kind of adding this kind of a little M situation, not meant to be like that. It just texturally feels so different, right? And then you have the drums coming in and just being that spiky thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that it's really, because maybe they have this spiky thing going on with a hi-hat, and then before soaring off into this like long spike, this like, yeah, the big spiky thing with a hi-hat, before there's like long spiky thing with the ride, before then getting kind of round with these drums situation, right? Like, sorry, with the toms, boom, boom, cap, boom, boom. Like, you know, that's visually kind of what's happening, you know? This is an absolutely terrible and awful, abstract, like metaphorical visual representation of Koso81's points. That's because the guitars and the notes and everything are kind of so consistent, they add like a sheen, a filter to the top. Yeah, a sheen, a fog, we'll say, to the top. And underneath is where like the interesting dynamic story is being told, with the bass and the drums interacting in this way that they're interacting. So that is certainly a very important part of the allure of this song. Yes, drums are awesome. Why don't we just listen to the drums again in the chorus, because they're so gosh dang good. God, it's so good. It's so good. I love the way it's changed around in there. And I love, yeah, and the friggin' like that fill that comes around after the hi-hat before going into the ride there. Oh, it's great. And then the big turn on here, right? Expanding this idea, right? We already had this like tom idea for a little bit in the chorus, and so now here in the bridge we're just like, what if we just like went really hard on that tom section? What if we expanded that idea of the toms that we were using for just a moment in the chorus? What if we expanded on that, you know? Thank you. All right, so now we gotta take a look at what the bass is doing in that section of that song. Also, what am I doing? I do not need this much room to show that the guitars are just arpeggiating A minor. The guitars are arpeggiating A minor. That's what they're doing. It's in the way that she poses. Now, I mean, why not put it on there? Why not say drums? Expanding on the Tom's idea from chorus. Okay. He deserves a shout out too. He deserves a spot there as well. So now let's take a look at the bass, because the bass is definitely going to be the thing that's really doing something interesting here, because it's like while you know, this is, let's see here. That's what's happening with the guitars and the voice together, is they're really just doing, you know, just doing this, right? That's all that the guitars and the voice are doing, and the bass comes in and adds a very, very, very interesting thing that is like more of a longer contour that adds a story to this all. So let's take a look, see if we can kind of start to hear what that is. So it does not come in to start. Okay. Got a little raw dough moment there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, Carlos knows what he's doing. Carlos knows what he's doing. That's neato. That's neato. Carlos knows what he's doing there, right? So Carlos is coming in, kind of going back and forth again with this idea of the, you know, C major, A minor thing, which also works underneath what these guys are doing. But then he goes up the octave. He's playing that A, and this is so interesting. This is so fascinating. A couple weeks ago during part 1 of this stream, we were like, B flats, are we looking for B flats or are we looking for B naturals? We didn't know for a long time if we have B flats or B naturals, and that would decide, you know, whether or not we're playing around in F Lydian territory or F major territory, or, you know, C, like C mixed Lydian territory, C major territory. And then it is Paul with the voice who comes in very strongly, making logical harm, gives us that B natural so strongly in the vocal. There was no other B until that point. And now, though, here in this bass line underneath this A minor C thing, he's just going back and forth between the A, you know, the A minor, C major situation. But then he goes up. He kind of, you see that? He's playing the A. Playing the A here. He goes up an octave and kind of micro tonally bends it. Right? You know? And then he puts it down there on a B flat. He kind of micro tonally bends between A and B flat before solidly hitting the B flat. He solidly hits the B flat, you know, before coming down here to our G and solidly landing on that F. So in the bass alone, he takes that from, what is that? That basically takes it from this, you know, do. He's kind of doing this do 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 la 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 do 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 la 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 do 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 do. Feels like C is the tonal center. Do 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 la la la, and then he goes up here to the La, but now the La becomes mi, fa, mi, re, do, and now F major feels like our tonal center there. So once again, we know that they are still playing around with this multipolar idea of F major, maybe, C major, maybe, A minor, definitely in the chorus, but it is just interesting. We finally have that B flat in there in the bass who leads us through the story, and then he kind of leads us through this interesting F idea, right? And so that's really what the bass is doing in this bridge, is still, again, same thing as we were saying before, playing around with this, you know, this relative major minor idea. You know, first in C, first in C, right, where he just goes back and forth from C to A to C to A, but then he jumps the octave, right, up to the A, kind of like microtonally bends it, then gets up to a B flat before descending A, G, F, right? This was La in C. This was La, but then we kind of pivot, and now we have Fa, Mi, Re, Do. And then he plays around with then F to D to F to D, which is the same thing, the relative major minor idea. He's doing the relative major minor idea first in C, then in F. I should say that. Then in F. Then in F, where he uses that B flat as a pivot point. I could probably visually present this information much better. First in C, then in, I'll say this, C, A minor, then in F with an F, D minor, F, D minor, using B flat as pivot point. That is some really kind of neato stuff on the part of Mr. Carlos there. In fact, that's the first thing that I've seen in this song so far that indicates to me that they kind of actually know what they're doing in regards to this tonal, multipolar tonal ambiguity push and pull kind of situation. Right? So again, we just kind of have this. Oh, sorry, yeah, right? And boom, now it feels like instead of playing it's like we were using this A minor and we were just playing around, in C. Right? We're just playing around in C to A minor situation, right? We're kind of just doing this C A minor thing. And then we flip it. Now it feels like we're playing an F major 7. Playing around again with this idea of the F to D relative minor major situation. Which, by the way, that is the chorus flip turned, right? Remember, this chorus was a flat 6 major 7 to the 1, that being an F major 7 to an A minor. This this bridge section is, again, it's that same exact idea, but we're flipping it so that we have our 1. I have to re-put us in one in C. So now it's the opposite. We have flip turned it now. So rather than doing an F major 7 to A minor, we're flip turning it and doing it the opposite way. That now we have an A minor situation. Then we lead ourselves to F major 7. We've just totally just taken the exact same thing that we did and flipped it, right? So that's really gosh dang neat. You gotta admit. All because of the bass. It is literally just the bass that drives this concept, right? Because the guitars are just kind of doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. They're just that sheen on top, you know what I mean? It is absolutely just the sheen on top, and it is just the bass that is really giving us this story underneath. It's so fascinating. Wowzers. But the texture does play a huge role in it, right? I mean, Koso 81 is not... He's right on that is an important thing to talk about. That... Sorry. Gotta hydrate, everybody. Hydrate or dihydrate, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the thing that you can really take from something like this, right? Is... the idea of taking the chords and those notes and just flip turning them on their head in that way of like, oh, A minor to F major 7, flip turn it, you know. No, yeah, you get the idea. Flip turn that. That's one thing, and that's great to know. But how do you actually actualize on that? And how do you take this idea of flipping something and turning it into a new section? How do you make it feel real and interesting in a way that, similar to at the very least now what Interpol has done, is with the textures and the production and the arrangement, right? In the arrangement, look at those textures in that chorus section. We kind of have this idea of sustaining eighth notes, chords, playing these like big things, and then these stabs. Again, it's very dynamic. We go back and forth from this kind of I'm gonna keep drawing, right? I'm gonna keep drawing. I hope you guys are okay with that. Yeah. On another one, right? It's this textural idea of what are the guitars on top doing. The guitar, or just forget guitars. It's just overall general textures is like this kind of thing is like, it's like this, you know? And then it kind of erupts into this kind of situation here, right? That's the texture of what we're looking at. This is very one story being told, right? Now, what if we take that, whatever musical idea this was, let's say it's the colors, since that's what we're using, I can make this even better, actually. I can make this even more convincing. Yeah, let's do it this way. You got your A minor, you know. Oh yeah. Oh, it's all coming together. Right? You have this kind of idea, right? Of look at these textures, straight, consistent, sustained textures with these chords and these things going on, with the drums and everything hitting there, and then you have this big bombastic idea where, you know, you have your A minor, then your F major 7, and then you have these stabs on your A minors going to your Fs, right? what we're doing now is taking that same idea and we're expanding it, flip turning it. Now, rather than those sustained chords that we're holding out with these like big bombastic drums with all the cymbals and all this energy, and then these big hits, these big stabs where we're stopping and starting. Again, urgency. Again, urgency, right? I mean, hey, let's talk about this real quick. Is not the stabbing idea, is that stabbing yourself in the neck idea, is that not the same thing that you heard earlier in the song with the they're just taking all these textural ideas and totally recontextualizing them and everything. So that's so interesting that that's another like little connection that we have from the chorus to the verse. Anyway, getting back to this idea of actualizing on a concept, actualizing on how do you learn from something like this, especially like beyond just analyzing the notes. But you know, again, the textures, the ideas, like consistent, bombastic drums kind of stuff, yada, 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 with stabs. Now, take the same musical ideas, in this case represented by the colors, and kind of turn them. So rather than going blue, then pink, then blue, then pink, we're going to go pink, then blue. And we're not going to do it where we repeat it like on this short form like this, where we go blue, pink, blue, pink. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go pink, then blue, but make it longer, right? And with a different texture, right? So now, instead of this kind of thing, instead of these big sustained chords and cymbals with all these energies and these big stabs, now we're going to hit and just focus on these toms ideas. Focus on the toms and add a new feel to it. Focus on this brand new idea of an arpeggio. This is the first time in the song that you've heard an arpeggio. Everything else in the song has been chords or melodies or things like that. This is now the first time we're introducing a brand new musical texture of an arpeggio. It's not the first time we're introducing a brand new musical texture. It is the first time in the song that we're introducing the texture of an arpeggio, right? So now we're kind of seeing that this guy, oh, please, pink, work. Ah! Oh no, it's going to ruin my metaphor. You know, I kind of get this idea. Right? Boom. That's kind of this thing. That's how you take an idea and turn it on its head. Not just by taking the chords and turning around, by introducing entirely new ideas and textures onto that, right? Because this kind of thing of you have harmony and rhythm, you have performance, you have arrangements and sounds, all kinds of things. It's not a two-dimensional thing, you know what I mean? It's three-dimensional, if not more, right? You have these matrices of things relating to each other that you can utilize and take advantage of to add new ideas and new interest and intrigue to your stuff. You know, it doesn't just have to be the chords. You don't have to find new chords. Maybe find new textures, find new sounds, find new arrangements, find new textures, right? Isn't that such a fun thing to play around with? And then this is the kind of thing, you know, like what I was saying before, so much of this songwriting, you know, record making thing is about balancing novelty and familiarity. I mean, look at this. This is a great way to do it. What's the familiarity is we're using the same chords. What's the novelty? Well, we're flipping them around in the opposite order. Okay, is that enough? Well, there's more novelty as well. Did I say that right? The familiarity is the chords. The novelty is we're flipping them. Is that enough? Well, more than that, we also are now introducing a new musical texture with the arpeggio. We're introducing a new rhythmic idea of the novelty of just an entire section just focus on toms. And even that, the novelty is a whole section with toms. The familiarity is, well, there was some toms earlier in the song that kind of was foreshadowed this long idea, right? It's really, really well done if you think about it. And again, to me, it's indicative of they spent probably many hours, many days or weeks or months just in a room together, jamming with each other and working together and refining this piece, working together on with all these things until they came up with this. I mean, this song to me definitely does scream, you know, band effort, you know, a refined jamming, a song born from the interplay and intersection and collision of lots of musical ideas and musical people playing with each other for a long time until eventually a form like this emerges, right? Really, really, really cool stuff. That bridge is so cool. That bridge is so neat. Why don't we now move forward and take a look at the outro. We'll call it the outro, right? Yeah. And on the bass there, he once again just does this. I think that's what he does there, right? Let me double check on this. Yep. Okay. So like I said, he was in the bass. Carlos was tonicizing that F after, you know, tonicizing the F there before playing around with the relative minor of FD. But now he does a similar thing where he's playing the D. Now, again, up here he played that B flat. Oh, sorry, the B flat here to tonicize F. And now he once again knows what he's doing. Carlos, he's here playing this D. Kind of bends it up a little bit. Then comes down to C. B natural to bring us back to C major for the outro, right? So we're definitely in C major for this outro. Let's listen to... Ah! Neat. Neat. Very neato. Yeah. So, actually, it turns out that whole outro section... is the same thing as the bridge, right? You end up here in C, and you go back and forth to the C to the A. And then he does... Again, he goes to the F. Okay, so that whole thing we figured out where Carlos is doing the C to the A, C to the A, then hits a B flat to lead us down to the F, and then plays around with that the same exact idea. Relative major, relative minor, relative major, relative minor. He then flips, turns us around in F, and does the same thing in F now. Relative major, relative minor, relative major, relative minor. And again, before hitting that C, B natural, C, to put us back in C. So it's just a continuation, right? This is the same kind of progression is situation as the bridge. It's in the way that she poses. It's the same exact thing, but just blown up into a larger, more interesting, not more interesting, a more, you know, shapely, functional passage. You know what I mean? That's taken shape now. So let's keep going. Let's call it the outro. We're definitely gonna finish this one tonight. Obstacle 1 will be done in 2 parts. We're definitely not gonna need a third part on this one. Outro. Same idea as bridge. Relative major and minor, playing around with C and A minor and F and D minor. Using B flat and B natural as pivots. And again, what's the other thing that happens here is, again, we're spending a lot of time talking about texture. That's another thing that's changing here as well, is the texture, right? We had this arpeggio thing and the toms, you know, and now we blow up into this, you know, more, yeah, it's taken shape, it's taken form now in the end, right? Now we have a straight, you know, rhythm, a more straightforward groove that has that ride cymbal with the snare and everything. And we do continue to repeat this arpeggio, which again makes it from this A minor to this F major 7. Yeah, it's good stuff. But now we have this awesome new melody going on as well. So yeah, right. Is he playing that on octaves? Does not sound like octaves. I think he's just playing it. What notes are we even playing there? We are playing G, A, C, D, G, C, G, A, C, D. And that just repeats the whole way through? Yep, just repeating. Guitar left, still arpeggiating that ACE. We'll say the ACE. New melody. The new melody there being G, A, C, D. Let's ask ourselves, how does that relate when we're playing in C? That would be 5, 6, 1, 2. So it's adding a 6/9 flavor, right? That's adding a 6/9 flavor during the C, and then when we're playing the F, yeah, wait, is that possible? It's also a 6/9 flavor, but different? Am I doing that right in my head? Okay, hold on a second. If we have C major, G is 5, A is 6, C, the D is 9, yep. But then when we're in F major, that's 9, 3, 5, 6. Wow! That's really neat, actually. That. How do I, I'm gonna just like, it's so interesting. Perfect representation of the flip, right? So, that melody, the G, do da do da. During the C, that adds a 6/9 flavor, and then during the F, it also adds a 6/9 flavor, but different notes are the ones contributing that flavor. During the C, you have how do I visually represent this? Like this. So during the C, that would be 5, 6, 1, 9. We're gonna call it, and then during the G, during F, that's adding 9, 3, 5, 6. That's really, really, really interesting and neat how it just adds a 6/9 flavor to both of that. What a great little melody to add in there, that it adds such an interesting flavor to this, right? Because now you're not just you're not just playing that. You're also playing, this. And then let's see here. Now you have the 6/9 on this guy, right? That's really neato, isn't it? Does anyone else think that's as neat as I do, or is that just me? Wait, hold on. All right. That's enough. Yeah, and then he throws that in there too. Yeah. That's really just kind of what's happening at the end here. That is really cool. How does this? She picks it. So here's another really, really, really cool thing that they have is this contrary motion, right? This melody goes up, right? And the other melody comes down. Wow! Woo! That is really neat. That is really, really neat. One's coming up and feeling so like major with all these, whole steps and jumps and stuff. And the other one's feeling very minor with that half-step descent downwards. She packs it away. She packs it away. However it goes, right? She backs it away. 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 Wow. I mean, that sounds pretty neato when you do it like that, doesn't it? That's really cool. That is really cool. She backs it away. All right, so that melody, you know, yeah. The instrumental melody, you know, contrary motion, you know, instrumental melody is going up, and then our vocal melody is carrying us down. Woo! That's some good stuff. I mean, just hearing those, even without the context of those chords, these are great on their own, right? You know? That's great just back and forth like that, let alone with these chords and stuff too, you know what I mean? Like, that's great. Yeah, nice. Oh, a little gospel move there, no. And then now we have our F situation too, right? Yeah. Then we got the D minor situation there, right? Wow. That's so cool that it's really, really fascinating that this entire time through this whole song, we've been jumping back and forth, not really knowing where we're at in terms of our tonal center, right? It's like, okay, so we're kind of in F major, yeah, kind of, sort of, 1-3 situation, but then the verse is all totally multipolar, modal, soup, all this stuff jumping around. I don't know where we are. Then the chorus, A minor, for sure. You know, now back to the verse, the chorus, everything. Now we go back to the, you know, multipolar and tonal ambiguity. Don't know where we are. Okay, now we're in A minor, but very briefly. And then we're also adding these like quick, you know, big stabs and stuff, and we're back to it. Now we're going F major again. Okay, oh, no, back to the multipolar, tonal ambiguity, don't know, A minor. Oh, okay. And now we go, all right, now the whole time we've spent not really knowing where we are and just only ever temporarily finding a bass. And now in the bridge into the outro, we're going to very solidly declare ourselves in some tonal centers. But guess what? Not just one. We're going to go back and forth between two tonal centers. We're no longer going, are we in C or F? I don't know. Now we're taking turns between C major and F major and C major and F major. It's really cool and tells me that, yeah, I still think they really jammed and refined this song a lot, but they definitely took a meticulous look at what they were doing. You know what I mean? They were like, well, we're kind of running with this idea here and that idea there. What if we just took this idea and flipped it on its head and made it some different textures? And then what if we kind of are doing this thing over here, like we're kind of in C and F. What if we did that at the end here, where we're actually not kind of in C and F, but actually just went back and forth from C to F, back and forth in perpetuity? We can do that, but we got to come up with a great melody to tie it together. Done. We can do that. That's great. And then at the very, very end too, when he starts singing the was ever enough. Yeah. Yeah. Is that what he's doing there? Hold on. Is that that's that sick bass part that he's doing there? Oh no, he's doing. Wait, hold on. How's he doing that? Ah, oh, dang it. Oh, okay. I see. I got flipped turned around. I thought we were in a C. No, we're in F at this point, right? Back and forth. That's so neato. Back in C. And then end solidly in that C, right? It's in the way that she was. Yep, F. D minor. F. D. So this is another cool thing that's happening here is, like I said, we're going back and forth. We're in C major, then F major, then C major, then F major. At the end, we do kind of end up in both, because when, where the ship packs it away, during that section, we're going back and forth, C major, F major. And then when we start repeating the verses, the bridge, it's in the way that she walks, heaven is never enough. That is C. Right? That's definitely in C. But the bass is definitely in F. And so now it brings it absolute full circle that we're kind of in F and then kind of in C for the verses. Choruses, A minor. Then for the bridge, we're taking turns between C major and F major. And then going to the final outro where we start soaring with this new melody, we're still doing that where we're taking turns between C major and F major until now this final end section where he's no longer singing the she packs it away. Now he changes it and singing it's in the way that she walks, that kind of thing. Now during this section we are in both. We are solidly polytonal at this point where The voice is absolutely in C major. You know, it's in the way that she walks. You can't argue with that. But then the bass so clearly is, you know, so clearly F major, right? And so this outro section is, again, it's just kind of a expansion and a recontextualization of the same idea that we saw in the verse, but now like really brought to its full potential, where it's not ambiguous anymore. Now it is very definitive. We are definitively in both of these key areas, rather than before we were ambiguously like, I don't know, we're kind of here for a moment and then kind of has stuff to say, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Whereas before, you know, it's same in the verses, it feels very tonally ambiguous. It's hard to even tell if you're major or minor feeling. Whereas now in this end section, it is very solidly major feeling. Like, what a really cool journey this is. This is a really neat song, huh? It does end up finally in C major though. So, there you have it, everybody. That's the song. That's Obstacle 1. It the whole thing is just kind of going back and forth from this tonally it is clearly consciously playing around with this tonally ambiguous thing and just like really hammering on like, what? How far can we run? How far can we make this A minor thing go? You know what I mean? That's really the verse, you know what I mean? The verse is doing all that stuff, and then we just go through it. Now the chorus is that. Before going back to the intro. And then, yeah. And then going to the bridge, you have that. That is the essence of this song, is we're gonna take this A minor and on thing on top, and we're just gonna see if how many things we can put underneath that in order to take us on this wild journey, all the while adding fascinating textures and rhythms all throughout, playing back and forth with different amounts of distortion, different amounts of drums, different amounts of rhythms of bass, different amount of staccato and legato and arpeggiating and chording and nod, and then the toms and the drums, the textures, like this, you know, dynamic production and arrangements going all the way through it. It's really cool. I mean, it's fascinating that the song is so, it's like modal and then polytonal ambiguously and then solidly tonal and then back to modal and ambiguity, and then all of a sudden now it is heavily tonal but constantly modulating from C to F before in the end finally becoming fully polytonal, where we are in C and F at the same time, before finally just saying at the end cheekily, you know, ending on that C. Obstacle 1, Interpol, everybody. Really solid. You know, exploration of how you can take ideas and just play around with them and flip them and turn them and add different textures in them and voice them in different ways and create a whole song from intro to verse to turnaround to chorus to intro to verse to chorus to bridge to outro, that really all of those different parts are different ways to present very similar idea, or a collection of similar ideas. So good job, Interpol. That ends up being pretty neat. Pretty neat, if you ask me. Yeah. Remember what those lyrics are, right? It's different now that I'm pouring age and I'll never see this place again. You're stabbing yourself in the neck. It's neat. It's neat, right? It's very, very neat. Fix it. She picks it away. She picks it away. Yeah, it's cool. It's a great song. I like it even more now. That's neat to say. All right. That was awesome, man. Love the way you brought out appreciation for the track simplicity at simultaneous hidden complexities. That's what we're talking about, man. Those hidden complexities. A lot of people do get really obsessed with making the things on the paper more complex, like adding more notes, getting outside, fancier chords, fancier this, fancier that they tend to neglect the things between the notes and between the rhythms, right? The structural things, right? I mean, I know I've said this to many people in many lessons, that I think it was Chopin who said that elegance is often misnomered as simplicity, right? So, when I am making videos and things like this, videos, live streams on bands like this, where I place emphasis on the structural things, on the intervals, on the way that the chords and the notes and the rhythms are facilitated and presented. Again, those things kind of between the notes on the paper. You know what I have to say? Like there's like subtext, like, oh, read between the lines. This is like reading between the notes. It's all that stuff that I think is neglected, right? I think people get really, really, overly obsessed of the pursuit of complexity in regards to the words, right? Think about like novels, think about great writing, great poetry, and a writer who only uses like big complex vocab words, that's not as good of a writer as one who very carefully chooses their words and is able to draw great emotion from simple words. I'm actually reading Slaughterhouse-Five again. Not again, sorry. Actually, I never read Slaughterhouse-Five when I was younger. I was a big reader when I was younger, and I read so many classics, but somehow Slaughterhouse-Five escaped me. I never read it. And I'm reading it right now, and sometimes I stop and I just like look out into space, or even say to my girlfriend, like, whoa, let me read you this line. Like, he is able to draw so much emotion and power from like simple words, right? Like there's one like, it's not in using like the vivid, the vivid and like voracious like juicy words, it's in using the simple words. You know, it's like what's the one thing? I mean, almost every chapter ends with "so it goes" or "and so it goes." Like those are simple words, but man, they have such power to them. And there's one line that's like so many Americans, she was trying to string together a life from, or sorry, yeah, from so many Americans, she attempted to make sense of her life through things bought in gift shops. And so the crucifix went up on Billy Pilgrim's wall. Whoa, dude! Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff using everyday vocabulary, everyday words. Didn't need to whip out the fancy stuff. That doesn't mean fancy stuff can't add power and add poignancy if used correctly. It certainly can. I still am very much a proponent of learning the theory and learning how to spell the chords and look at the, you know, the notes and the modes and the scales and all the concepts. I'm definitely a proponent of those, but I think again people get too obsessed with what's with those concepts and not how are those concepts applied to the music. You know what I mean? And that's my whole thing is I try to say like when I in conversation a lot of people ask me, I've actually had in like corporate job interviews like people then trying to like leverage my experience like doing these things, doing this stuff online into like, you know, stuff that makes more money than this, and corporate nonsense, yada yada yada. I quit that job, don't worry. But I did do that. They asked me, why do people follow you? Like why would they watch your channel and not someone else's? And I said, you know, a lot of people, most people that I see use songs to talk about how cool music theory is. I do the opposite. I use music, at least I attempt to use music theory to talk about how cool and how great the songs are. So, and I think this song is a great example of that. It's evidence of that. So, there you have it, my friends. Obstacle 1 by Interpol. Cool stuff. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. We have other live streams coming up. I think we said next Tuesday, right? I want to get on this alternating schedule of, you know, Monday, Wednesday in like alternating weeks. Next Wednesday, I have an obligation, so it won't be next Wednesday. It will be next Tuesday, the 16th. I think that's right. Yeah, Tuesday the 16th. And then after that, I should write this down, right? I should write this down. Yeah, that's the long one. We need us another song to do, guys. I'm going to put up a poll to vote on what song we're doing next week. Part 3 of Leave It In My Dreams will be coming the following week. This was the odd week that we doubled up on. So Tuesday, January 16th, 24. You can't use that. Tuesday, Jan 16th. We need a new song. Yeah, starting a new song. New song. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions. But again, I'll be putting up a poll. You guys left to let me know what you want. Bummed I missed it, but I will watch back for sure. Thanks for the education. Hey, you're welcome, Wise Owl. Thank you, Wise Owl, for being here. I hope you watch back and you get something out of it. I think this one was really interesting. A lot of twists and turns in this one. And then Monday, the... What would that be? Would that be the 22nd? Yeah, Monday the 22nd. Monday, January 22nd, we are doing Leave It In My Dreams, Part 3. Okay. We'll see you guys there. Have I done Interpol PDA? I've not done PDA yet. That was actually one of the ones before we did Interpol. Obstacle 1. PDA was another one that we were looking at. Potentially also The New was another one. Regardless, I will put up a poll for people to vote on which ones they want to see, which ones they want to be done to decide what is our new song. I also finished the script I finished the script for the discussion of what we did on part 1 of this song, and that'll be coming up next week. The video will go up next week. It'll probably be 10 minutes or less, because I'm trying to steal a lot of good information down into there. So watch out for that. Watch out for the poll to vote on that new song. Let's see here. Vote by poll. Look out for that. And there you go. I hope you guys check out the other stuff. If you want to support me, if you like what I do, you can take private lessons with me. You can check out my original music. You can, here on the chat, leave a super thanks as like a tip, a one-time monetary tip of it would be very appreciated. Don't feel obliged, but anything helps. It's always great. You can also like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And I mean real share, you know what I mean? Sharing on social media is great, but like actually sharing it with friends, like, hey, you love this song, look at this video, look at this live stream, hey, you love this band, check this guy out, hey, those individual things that you're like actually sharing with friends, not just posting it on social media, because people just ignore those, obviously. They'll be like, oh, they'll see it on your story, like, oh, okay, that looks cool. Next, you know what I mean? On down the stream of consciousness of the Instagram story or whatever. So appreciate all you guys for being here. Thank you. See you next Tuesday for another song. We're starting a new one. I know we might do more Interpol. I also know that Jigsaw Falling Into Place by Radiohead was like highly requested, so we might do that. But again, we're gonna vote by poll. So that's it, everybody. This was a really cool song. Go watch the stream. It's really cool. Really, really cool. I think this stream's worth watching. I am absolutely just babbling at this point. So goodbye, everybody. I'll see you later.